Welcome to another deep dive. And before we even really get into things today, I just want to take a quick moment to speak directly to you, the listener.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Right. So wherever you are right now, whatever you're doing, I want to offer a sincere divine blessing for your day and for your entire upcoming week. May you find clarity and peace in whatever you're setting out to do.
That is just a wonderful way to begin. We all need a bit of that.
We really do.
Yeah.
And we definitely need some of that clarity today because we are hunting for the rationale behind some of the most misunderstood ancient texts in history.
Oh, absolutely. The context here is just vital.
Exactly. So our mission for this deep dive is to explore these ancient laws of justice and sanctuary, specifically focusing on Numbers chapter 35.
Yeah, which is a fascinating section.
It is. And we've got excerpts and maps from the Holman and NAA study Bible sitting right here on the desk to help us navigate it. Because I think, when we normally think about ancient laws, our minds almost automatically jump to this idea of brutal, lawless retaliation.
Right, the whole eye for an eye, mob justice kind of thing.
Exactly, just guys swinging swords in the desert. But what these sources reveal is actually a shockingly sophisticated legal system.
It really is.
I mean, we're talking about forensic investigations of intent, highly regulated urban planning, and this complex network of sanctuary cities. So, okay, let's unpack this. Where do we even start with the landscape of Numbers 35?
Well, we really have to start with this massive real estate anomaly. So when you look at the conquest of Canaan, the Israelite tribes are essentially dividing up this huge new territory.
Right, they're drawing the borders.
Exactly. Everyone is getting these large, contiguous, sprawling provinces to call their own. But there's this one glaring exception, the tribe of Levi.
Oh, right, the priests.
Yeah, the Levites are explicitly excluded from receiving a massive, unified territorial inheritance in the Promised Land.
Wait, hold on. Why would God fragment the religious leaders? I mean, if you have a priestly class, the intuitive move for an ancient empire is to build a massive temple city.
Right, consolidate the power.
Exactly. Put them all in the capital and make everybody travel to them.
You'd think so, but the legal architecture here does the exact opposite. Instead of one giant province, the other tribes are legally mandated to give the Levites 48 specific cities.
48. That's a lot of cities to just hand over.
It is, and they are scattered throughout the land, completely proportional to the size of each tribe's territory. So if a tribe has a huge tract of land, they give up more cities. If their land is smaller, they give fewer.
Okay, so it's a completely decentralized system.
Completely.
Is this sort of like putting a federal courthouse or a public library in every single county, rather than keeping all the judges locked away in the capital?
That is precisely what it is. It's a brilliant system of integration, because the study notes explain that scattering the Levites this way ensured a visible, localized presence of God's sanctuary among all 12 tribes.
Which makes sense, right? Because they were the ones teaching the law.
Right. It was vital for teaching the law and modeling holiness and justice to the average citizen. You didn't have to pack up your family and travel for 3 weeks just to get a ruling on a legal dispute.
The law was literally living right down the road.
Exactly. And the urban planning for these cities, according to the sources, is highly specific.
Oh, yeah, the measurements are crazy. They didn't just point to a village and say, you live here now.
No, the text mandates exact perimeters. They engineered these pasture lands for the Levites' herds, extending exactly 1,000 cubits, which is about 450 meters outward from the city wall.
In every direction, right?
In every direction. So it forms this perfect perimeter of 2,000 cubits or 900 meters on each side, with the city sitting dead center.
It's like the world's most intense, divinely mandated HOA zoning law.
It really is. But it shows that these weren't just, refugee camps. They were deliberately planned hubs.
Okay, but out of these 48 decentralized teaching centers, the plot really thickens, because 6 of them were given a much more intense life-or-death job description.
Yes. Out of the 48, 6 were specifically designated as cities of refuge.
And geographically, they're set up perfectly, right?
Yeah.
There are 3 east of the Jordan River Bezer, Ramoth Gilead, and Golan, and then 3 west in Canaan, Kadesh, Shechem, and Hebron.
Right, which means no matter where you lived, you were always within a reasonable distance of one. And these were safe havens for anyone Israelite or foreigner who killed someone accidentally.
Okay, so you have someone sprinting toward the gates of Hebron, absolutely terrified. What exactly are they running from?
Well, the sources introduced the concept of the Iberia Bay, and in the Portuguese translations, it's called the Vingador de Swang.
The Avenger of Blood.
Right. And the Hebrew word used here is goel.
Okay, I have to push back on that term
Right.
because Avenger of Blood sounds like a horrific, lawless mafia vendetta, like
Mhm.
some vigilante mob justice happening out in the desert.
It sounds incredibly cinematic and violent to our ears, I know. But what's fascinating here is that the goel was not a rogue vigilante.
They weren't.
No, in ancient tribal society, the goel was actually a recognized formal family redeemer. Their job was to restore lost family property, or in this case, life.
Oh, wow. Okay, so if someone goes bankrupt, the Goal buys back their farm.
Exactly. Or pays a ransom if a relative is sold into debt slavery.
But if someone takes a family member's life, you can't just buy that back. So the only way to balance the scales in that ancient mindset is to take a life in return.
Right. It was a matter of profound family duty. But human nature being what it is, this duty could easily lead to endless, blind cycles of vengeance.
I mean, obviously, it's just mutually assured destruction. If I accidentally cause a fatal accident, your family's goal kills me. Then my family's goal has to kill him. It just never ends.
Precisely. And the cities of refuge were instituted precisely to act as a circuit breaker against this unchecked vengeance.
To stop the blood feud before it starts.
Exactly. It ensured that a formal trial could happen first, before the congregation, rather than just a heat-of-the-moment execution on the side of the road.
Right. But that creates a logistical problem, doesn't it?
Yeah.
How did the congregation decide if the killer actually deserved the protection of the city or if the Avenger of Blood was justified?
That is where the law requires a really thorough forensic investigation of intent.
And the text here is amazing. It explicitly outlines the difference between premeditated murder and what we would call involuntary manslaughter.
It's incredibly detailed for the ancient world.
It really is. It says murder involves a deadly iron object or a stone that could cause death or a deadly wooden weapon.
Right, because iron was expensive. If you were carrying an iron tool, you probably came looking for a lethal fight.
Exactly. And it also includes pushing someone with hatred, throwing an object with bad intent, or striking someone out of pure enmity.
Which is in stark contrast to the manslaughter clauses.
Right, the accidental death.
Yeah, pushing someone suddenly without enmity. Or carelessly dropping a heavy stone without seeing the person, resulting in a tragedy.
So it's essentially the ancient equivalent of first-degree murder versus involuntary manslaughter. And here's where it gets really interesting to me.
Oh, yeah.
The law didn't just look at the dead body and say, well, life for life. It looked at the heart and the hands of the accused. Like, did they hold a weapon of iron? Did they harbor a grudge?
That internal motivation was key. And there's another massive leap in justice from the sources here. A single witness was legally insufficient to condemn a murderer to death.
Wait, really? So even if the Avenger of Blood says, hey, I saw him do it, that's not enough?
No, it's not enough. Multiple witnesses were required.
Wow. That's a huge protection against false accusation.
It really is. And furthermore, if they were judged guilty of murder, no financial ransom could save them.
You couldn't just pay a fine to make it go away.
Exactly. You couldn't buy off justice. But, and this is crucial, if they were judged innocent of premeditated murder, they were still guilty of shedding blood.
Right. An innocent person is still dead. Which means, and this is wild, you are cleared of murder. The congregation rescues you from the Avenger of Blood. So you can just go home, right?
Actually, no.
You don't get to go home.
Not at all. And this is the harshest reality of the city of refuge. The accidental killer was confined to the city limits until the death of the reigning high priest.
The guy anointed with the holy oil.
Yes.
And it's a strict border, right?
Very strict. If the killer stepped one single foot outside the city walls before the high priest died, the Avenger of Blood had the legal right to kill them.
Unbelievable.
And it would not be considered murder.
Wait, I have to stop you there. So your sentence duration, your exile, depends entirely on the biological lifespan of a man you've probably never even met.
That's what the text says.
But that's crazy.
Yeah.
If he dies tomorrow, you go home. If he lives for 40 years, you were stuck in this city.
What?
That sounds completely arbitrary.
It does sound arbitrary to our modern ears, definitely. But if we connect this to the bigger picture, the study notes explain a profound theological worldview at play here.
Okay, walk me through that, because right now it just sounds like bad luck.
It has to do with how they viewed the land itself. The belief was that bloodshed, even accidental bloodshed, profanes and pollutes the land where God
It
dwells.
was like a spiritual stain on the earth.
Exactly. And no ransom money can buy off this pollution. So the death of the high priest served as this monumental era-ending event.
Because he represented the whole nation.
Right. It acted as a vicarious atonement that formally cleared the blood debt. His death absorbed the pollution, so to speak, so the exile could finally return to their inheritance safely.
Wow. So his death literally resets the scales for the whole country.
It does. Once the high priest passes, the avenger of blood no longer has any legal right to pursue the killer. The ledger is clean.
So what does this all mean for us today? Obviously, you and I don't have literal cities of refuge to run to.
No, thankfully not.
Right. But when we think about the era of information overload we're in and the constant snap judgments on social media, it feels surprisingly relevant.
Oh, complete.
Because someone makes a mistake online, genuinely an accident or misunderstanding, and instantly the digital avenger of blood is mobilized.
The online mob is ready to strike.
Exactly. There's no pause, no investigation of intent. Looking at these ancient texts really reminds us of the profound historical effort it took to separate blind vengeance from measured justice.
It's a reminder that intent really matters.
Yeah, to value intent and to actually create physical spaces for second chances. We don't do that very well anymore.
You really don't. And before we wrap up, I just want to leave the listener with one final lingering image to ponder on their own.
Oh, please do.
Imagine the daily psychology of living inside one of those 6 cities.
Just living in exile.
Yeah. You are living in an entire municipality made up of Levite scholars and people who have made the absolute most tragic mistake of their lives.
That is a wild mix of neighbors.
And all of them, every single day, are essentially checking the daily news, waiting for word on the health of one single man.
The high priest.
Right, knowing that their ultimate freedom is tied completely to his life and death.
Just wondering if the high priest has a cold today.
Exactly. It's an incredible psychological burden to imagine.
That is such a haunting and powerful thought to leave off on. Well, thank you so much for breaking all of this down.
It was my pleasure.
And thank you, the listener, for joining us on this deep dive into some truly ancient and profound laws. Keep exploring these texts on your own. As we close out today, God blesses all the listeners. We'll see you next time.